Hello children, welcome to SV Union High School and Junior College. This is Deepa Fadke. This session we are going to learn Standard 8 Civics Chapter 1 Introduction to the Parliamentary System. Let's learn the background about it. There are some questions which we should have it in our mind. Why we have Prime Minister, but why is there no Prime Minister in the United States of America? What is the difference between a parliamentary and a presidential system of government? Children, we will be getting the answers of all these questions in this chapter. The above questions would make us understand that every country has a different form of government. Before we understand those types of government systems, let us get information about the main branches of governments. The legislature makes the laws, the executive implements the law, and the judiciary provides justice. Their functioning, interrelation, limitations all are decided by the Constitution. It is the nature of their relationship that decides and determines the system of government adopted in a particular country. There are two main types of government systems: parliamentary system and presidential system. So children, why do we have parliamentary system and why doesn't USA, that is United States of America, doesn't have parliamentary system but it has presidential? Because it all depends on the nature of the nation. It is the legislature, it is the executive, it is the judiciary system. Even though these parts, these organs are working, functioning separately, still there is a control over all these organs by the Constitution. It is the nature of their relationship which decides and determines which kind of or which system of government we should adopt in our country or in any country. Looking at these organs, Indian government, Indian Constitution has adopted parliamentary system of government. So there are two types of government: parliamentary system and presidential system. The parliamentary system of government developed primarily in England, and you know it very well children, because Britishers ruled over us for 150 years. Somewhere Indians got influenced with the administration system, government system of England. The British Parliament is an institution that has evolved over a period of time. The parliamentary system of government, having its roots in Parliament, is considered as a contribution of England. India has adopted this parliamentary system, so we have some similarities in our parliamentary system and the parliamentary system of England. But at an institutional level, the Indian parliamentary system is totally different in its content. So no doubt we have an influence of Britishers over us in our government system, because they ruled over us for 150 years. So definitely, like them, we also have parliamentary system. But when we look at the institutional level, definitely it differs. The parliamentary system of England differs than the parliamentary system of India. Let's learn the characteristics of the Indian parliamentary system of government, so that through these characteristics we will be able to understand our parliamentary system in a better way. The legislature system is a system of the central government which is known as the parliament. Indian parliament consists of President, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Lok Sabha members are directly elected by the people. The number of the members is fixed in this house. Elections to the Lok Sabha are held at regular intervals, that is exactly after every 5 years. All political parties contest elections, and the party which gets more than half of the seats is considered as the majority party. That forms the government. So let's learn first one. The legislature system is a system of the central government that is known as Parliament. So Indian Parliament consists of, or it has President, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Lok Sabha is a separate house. The number of the members of this house is always fixed, and it is like directly elected by the people. People elect the members of Lok Sabha. Elections to the Lok Sabha are also held every after 5 years, and all political parties contest elections in the Lok Sabha elections, and the party which gets majority of seats or more than half of the seats is considered to be the winning political party, majority party, and later that party only forms the government. Now we will learn next characteristics. Sometimes when no party gets a clear majority, it happens children many a times, then in that case some parties come together to form a majority. So those small parties along with their number of seats, they come together and they can establish the government. This kind of the government, having many parties coming together, is known as coalition government. The leader of the majority party becomes the Prime Minister. He or she selects candidates for ministerial positions from among his or her colleagues. So all same political party or maybe different political parties, when they come together, in that case the leader of the majority party becomes the Prime Minister, and then he selects candidates for different ministerial positions for his or in his Council of Ministers. The Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers chosen by the Prime Minister together forms the executive in the parliamentary system of government. So who comes into the executive? The Prime Minister himself and his Council of Ministers. All those ministers whom he has selected. So together in the parliamentary they form their executive. There are two functions or duties of these executive. First, as an executive, they have to implement laws, and the second one, as they are the members of the legislature, they also have to fulfill responsibilities of the legislature. So these are basically two main functions of the executive in the parliamentary system. Children, we have learnt about the Council of Ministers. Who are there? Who are the members of Council of Ministers? The party which gets majority of votes, the leader of that party becomes the Prime Minister. So he or she selects the members from or within his party. So those members become the ministers of the council, that is the Council of Ministers. So the Council of Ministers have to work with the legislature, and so it is known as a responsible system of government. Why? Because the decisions that are taken by this department or ministry is considered as decision of the government. In the parliamentary system, the executive, who are the executive? The Council of Ministers is dependent upon the confidence of the legislature. Now, whose confidence have to be gained by the Council of Ministers? Those party members, those who are there in the legislature. It means the Council of Ministers remain in power till it enjoys the support and confidence of the legislature, of the members of the legislature. If no confidence motion against the executive is passed by the legislature, then the Council of Ministers is removed from the power. So no confidence motion is an effective tool of keeping an eye or keeping a check over the functioning of the executive. The legislature is a supreme institution of the parliamentary form of government. Elected representatives of people express the demands and aspirations. What are aspirations, children? The feelings of common people in the parliament, desires of the common people in the parliament. Since the parliament is the house of representatives of people and expresses sovereign authority of the people, it is considered as the supreme body. So what is considered as the supreme body? The legislature, because it is considered to be the supreme institution of parliamentary system, because it always expresses all the elected representatives by the people. They sit in the parliament and they express the demands, the aspirations, the feelings, desires of common people in the parliament. That's the reason parliament is the house of representatives of the people, and that is the reason why it is considered to be the supreme body. Why did India adopt a parliamentary system of government? We have learned, children, that Indians have adopted parliamentary system because somewhere it is the product of the freedom movement. We have sacrificed our lives, we have fought against the Britishers, and finally we got independence. Definitely this parliamentary system has a product of this freedom movement. Many discussions used to take place in the Constituent Assembly over the system of government. And finally, the framers of the Constitution made few changes in the parliamentary system to suit the Indian situation. Questions related to public welfare, for the welfare of the people, are discussed in the legislature. Opposition party members also support the government wherever appropriate, point out shortcomings in policies or laws, put up arguments or even questions to make proper laws. So now, children, after learning why India has adopted parliamentary system, let's learn what exactly happens over there in the parliamentary discussions and deliberations. It is an integral part of the parliamentary system of government. So questions related to public welfare, for the welfare of the people, are discussed in the legislature, and then opposition party also sometimes support the government if the ruling party is appropriate, their points are correct. In that case also the opposition party point out shortcomings in this policies and laws, and then again put up studied arguments and questions, and finally, but this definitely helps the legislature to make proper laws. Now children, after learning about parliamentary system of government, let's learn about presidential system of government. The presidential system exists in countries such as USA. In this system, the president is the executive and is independent of the legislature, and as the head of the state, the president is directly elected by the people. All the three organs work separately. Which are these three organs? The legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. Still, there are enough connections amongst them to work in harmony for smooth functioning. So what do you mean by presidential system of government? Presidential system of government is that form of the government where the president is the executive and he is or she is independent of the legislature, and also he is the head of the state who is directly elected by the people. So even though he is separate, independent, still there is common connections, or there are certain connections amongst the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary for smooth functioning. Children, we have learnt about the presidential system of government, where the president is the executive, he is independent of the legislature, he is the head of the state. He has powers, lots of powers. Using them, even he can implement the laws. Whereas the three organs, the legislature, the judiciary, and the executive, are even independent, still they work in harmony because they have connections, proper connections amongst them to work in harmony. Now, as we are learning about the features of the presidential system, we must know that the houses of the legislature and the president are directly elected by the people. The president, who is the executive head, has lots of powers, even he can implement the laws using them. In spite of such a structure, independent structure of each organ, the legislature and the executive keep an eye on the working of each other. They control each other to lead a responsible government. Children, in short, we have learnt why India has adopted parliamentary system. We also have learnt that some countries have adopted parliamentary and some other have adopted presidential form of the government. It depends, children, about the countries, their physical, their social, their economical conditions, and accordingly suitable to them, they adopt the form of the government. We also have learned that If the party gets majority of votes, then it comes into power and the leader of them becomes the president. The president selects the members amongst the party who becomes the council of ministers. So all those ministers, they are there in the council, are the people, are the representatives, are the members who are selected by the prime minister. The prime minister and his council of ministers is known as the executive. The executive is known as the responsible government because they take important decisions. While taking these decisions, the executive has to work in accordance with the opposition party members in the parliament. So continuously, the executive needs the support. If the support is lost, if no confidence motion is declared by the parliament, by the legislature, in that case, the executive body is removed from their position. So it is very important for the executive to get support from the legislature. We also have learnt that lots of discussions, questions are framed, then discussions take place, and over here, while making the laws also, the executive needs the support of the opposition party. So the opposition party also supports the executive if their decisions are correct from the point of view of the welfare of the people. So this is the lawmaking process. Children, we also have learnt about the presidential system of government, where president is the head and the three organs, even though they run separately, still they have control over each other mutually, which makes them run in a better way. So children, apart from the parliamentary and presidential systems, there are other forms of government systems that are followed in France, Switzerland, Germany, etc. Several countries having their different circumstances have adopted different systems of government. In the next chapter, we will study the structure, working and the role of the Indian Parliament. Children, in your textbook, there's an exercise where different types of questions are given, like choose the correct options and rewrite statement, complete the following table, explain the following statements with reason, answer in 25 to 30 words each, etc. So few questions are picked up and given here as your homework, but you are supposed to mark down all the answers in the textbook and copy them in your classwork. We have completed Standard 8th Civics first chapter, Introduction to the Parliamentary System. Over here, children. Thank you.